Welcome to the Maserati MC20 Cielo, or Cielo if you want to be American about it. That means sky, the convertible. Hardtop convertible, no less. This is the same running gear as the standard MC20, the coupe that was revealed a few years ago. This is the latest and greatest model. This car marks a real restart for Maserati in many ways. It has what they call the Nettuno engine, or the Neptune engine. That is a 3-liter twin-turbo pre-combustion chamber engine. They've actually patented a new way to make an engine with a pre-combustion chamber, which results in a totally different sound. Makes a lot of power, 621 horsepower, 538 pound-feet of torque. An 8-speed dual clutch that is actually related to the one in the Corvette C8, believe it or not. And I haven't even tried hard yet, obviously. In fact, I'm still in GT mode. Got to fix that too. This road, believe it or not, was recently worked on by LA County, and I thought they were going to fix all the potholes and all the bumps, and they didn't. They fixed the washed out areas like this, and they left everything else like it was, which was bumpy and nasty, and here we are. So, okay, all right. There is an incredible amount of power available in this car. The grip is excellent, but you do get the sense when you first put the pedal all the way to the floor that the car is almost struggling to keep itself controlled. That the grip is there, that you're not spinning anything yet, but it feels like you're on the very edge of what's possible to keep your grip. Do a little experiment with all of you right now. I'm going to demonstrate something, a couple of things on the MC20 Cielo. First off, we need to put the top up. Now, on most convertibles, that means you have a button somewhere to put the top up. Not in this car, nope. In this car, it is part of the screen, which I have to admit is a bummer. I wish it wasn't part of the screen, but let's go to Vehicle. Under Controls, we have a few things. One of them is Spider. Go to Spider, and now I'm going to say close it. So it is a touchscreen. You also have to hold down the button on the touchscreen. Here comes the top. All kinds of madness. Hold it long enough, it will roll up the windows. There it is. And now we're a hardtop. That would suggest our $330,000 hardtop would actually be pretty quiet in here. That's what you would think. I mean, I certainly would think that it would be a really nice place to be, because of course they made this in coupe as well. That is where I've been a little bit surprised by this car. You notice I'm in GT mode. I'm going to go back to manual, still in manual. You know, let's just go to drive. Let's just simplify this car to the way you might drive it in a commute situation. Now, my hope is that you can hear what I'm hearing. Of course, you're in a mid-engine car. You should be able to hear the engine, but honestly, the engine's the least of my worries. Not going very quickly. Granted, I'm not on a great road, but there's a lot of tire noise, there's a lot of wind noise, there's a lot of just uncomfortable and displeasing noises happening right now just for the car moving through the world. Now, of course, you know, if I put my foot in it, I'll hear more of the engine. But right now, the engine is not really even a major part of the auditory experience. It's everything else. I'm genuinely very surprised at the noise level with the top up. I would have expected a lot better. Now, the top also does these other spider things like Cielo. It turns up the photochromic roof and turns it into fully transparent, which is nice. Pretty good brakes, but I'm going to talk more about them in a minute. So let's sit here for a second. Notice the roof. Opaque, and now clouds. Opaque, and now clouds. That is the interesting thing that the roof does, which is very cool, and that comes back to the name. But for now, let's reopen the top. Cool. Got to bring the windows up so you can hear me better. This is how it's meant to be done. And at this point, let's be honest, you're probably not ever going to think about, can I hear anything else? Because of course, once you have a convertible top down, all bets are off as far as sound is concerned. And this is a very nice place to be. I'm just surprised that it is so very loud with the top up. So I'm in drive mode. I'm going to go back to manual. I'm going to go from GT over here to Sport. You can mix and match your settings. I could go from Sport into Corsa, which is obviously the track intended setting, and then I can alter my suspension to be something else. So this is the hardest setting of the car, and on this road, it's actually too much. A big surprise to me was the steering feel on this car, which is excellent. I mean, it doesn't have a ton of information. We're still dealing with an electronic steering program here, and you know, any electronic steering assist that you could think of has lost a lot of feel from obviously analog steering and certainly from hydraulic steering. This was tuned by the same guy that did the Alfa Giulia, which is interesting because I actually like the Giulia steering a lot. A lot of bumps through this corner. There's a big one on the back end. Unless there's a big rock in the road here in a sec. There's the bump. There's the boulder. This is still a very bumpy road. This car is big and heavy. It is about as big as a Corvette C8. It's technically a tiny bit longer than a Corvette C8, even though the wheelbase is shorter. It weighs about what a Corvette does, high 3,000 pound range. Maserati's been listing about a 3,400 pound weight, but that has to be the dry weight because those that have weighed it have found that the coupe weighs almost 3,800 pounds, and this weighs at least 150 pounds more than the coupe does. So we're dealing with a car fairly close to 4,000 pounds here, but it does not feel like it. This has a bespoke carbon tub from Dallara, which is very cool. It makes the car surprisingly stiff, but also they built it from the ground up to be a coupe, a convertible, and an electric. So theoretically, an electric version of this car is coming. It goes very quickly and is pretty easy to drive fast. One of my favorite things with this car is accelerating out of corners because there's so much good power and the balance is excellent, and you can feel the back half of the car kind of struggle with application of power on the way out of the corner. There's something really pleasing about that. One of my only complaints with the driving experience here is the brakes. I like to brush brakes into corners, and you can't really do that here. This is a brake-by-wire system, which I'm generally not fond of anyway, but it's brake-by-wire that then bumps into carbon ceramics. The carbon ceramics have a ton of bite even when they're cold, of course not as much as I'd like, because they do have to get warmed up to be at their best. I'd rather normal steel brakes, but carbon ceramics, what's on here? The top of the pedal has no information at all, no change at all in what's going on. So you have to push through the top of the pedal to find anything at all, and that means if you've pushed through in search of braking power, you may end up braking too much. I like to be able to just brush the brake pedal on a canyon road and get a little bit of braking out of it. That's led to a lot of moments where I don't know where the braking went, because I'll tap it and wonder why it's not doing anything, and then I have to really hit it, and now it's too much. I'm adjusting over the course of driving this car, but I don't want to have to adjust. I want to be able to brush the brake pedal, and this doesn't do that well. That may be the end of our fun, because we have caught the van. Wasn't even trying very hard. Just give it a minute, can we? We'll just pause for a moment and start again. Corsa with mid suspension. There we go. Almost every corner, I'm wanting to have braking power long before I actually get it. I don't want a lot, I just want to feel the discs get touched by the brake pads, just that little bit to duck the nose in, and it's not happening here. This engine's very interesting because it doesn't have the traditional Maserati wail at all. Maserati actually patented their pre-combustion chamber that changes the way this engine runs and sounds, and honestly, that means down low it sounds a little diesel-y. If you get up above about 4,000 RPM, it settles into a pretty nice sound. Not a great sound, honestly. I prefer the old kind of Italian Ferrari-style wail. Wondering where Mr. Van is. Sure we'll find him again. This is a lot of car, but it is also a lot of money. At $300,000, there's definitely lots of other competition. This is not the obvious choice, but it is a very uniquely fun car. And it has more personality and playfulness than I was expecting. That's an awful lot of money though. I think you can get this level of fun for cheaper, but this is special. They've made something unique. I will give them that. The color you want it in is that color, that yellow. That's what you really want. The Maserati yellow, that $19,000 paint job, that's the color you want. Thanks for joining me.